Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode number 58. Where do you place 400,000 people? Where do you place 400,000 people? That's about almost the size of Fort Worth. Fort Worth is probably about 550,000 people. I may be off. Where do you place 400,000 people? Thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, whether it be on Rumble or YouTube or Podbean. Follow and subscribe, and then share it out to your friends. Okay. Wow. So the end of year numbers from the Customs and Border Enforcement and Homeland Security that were released the other day, and it was 1,649,000 people that were apprehended at the United States border in FY 2021. Okay, on my notes I wrote 2020. I'd been a year off. Okay, this is FY 2022 is supposed to have started on October 1st. Okay. But 1.649 million people came and got apprehended at the U.S. border. That's the most since, I believe, 2011 or 2010. Okay? That is a lot of people. I believe there are still some states that don't even have that many people. But when you look at the 1.649 mil, how many other people got across our border and we have no idea who they are or where they're located at? We just brought tens of thousands of Afghans to our country from Afghanistan, where Joe Biden failed in his relocation and repatriation of Afghan SIVs, special immigrant visa people, and U.S. citizens were left behind in Afghanistan, and very few of the people that we needed to get out of Kabul were even on the planes. We were pretty much just grabbing people and putting them on planes instead of getting the people that were supposed to be coming with us and put them on the planes. So, and then we already had legal problems with some of those people up in Fort McCoy. Just read the news, find out. Okay, that is a lot of people. Well, and when you got that many people you apprehended in 1 year, what are the health protocols that are being followed in those instances? I heard of the people up in Fort McCoy are getting MMRs. That's an awesome idea, because people talk about the pandemic that's going on now, and it's contagious, but it's not as contagious as it could have been. But get around measles and find out, if you want to find out how contagious an illness is, try measles. Okay, your head will spin how fast that thing, you'll get it if you're not already vaccinated on it. But are they screening them for different viruses and drugs out there? Are they screening them for malaria, cholera, COVID, flu, mumps, measles, rubella? There's a lot that need to be checked on for. Okay, their living standards. The last 2.5-3 weeks we've been focusing on the international bridge down in Del Rio, about the people that are staying there. People living in stick huts underneath that bridge. Well, one, where are they getting all the materials to build? Why are you allowing them to live in that kind of cesspool that they're calling temporary camps? and then they try to clear it out before it can get even worse than it actually is. And where did they send the 18 to 20,000 Haitians that they didn't send back to Haiti or back to Mexico or Brazil or Chile and stuff like that? And the ones that are living in the United States, how are they going to make a living if they don't have legal work papers? Because technically, if someone can't present a birth certificate and a social security card, and they come to work for you, and you run them through the E-Verify, you can't hire them, because then you'll be breaking the law. So now these people are regulated. Two instances. One, they're going to rely on federal benefits like welfare, Lone Star, and stuff like that, on WIC, to raise their families. Well, you can't get WIC after age 5. I think it is age 5. It's been a long time. My girls are all 20 and above. But so you rely on federal benefits to get subsistence for your family, or you go get a job. So, but if you go get a job and you're not legally allowed to work in the United States, what kind of job are you gonna get? Are you gonna work illegally? Are you gonna work under the table? So if you're working underneath the table, you're getting paid cash, which the employer is wrong for paying you cash because they're not withholding taxes. And if you are paying taxes, how are you doing that without a social security number? Or did you perform some type of identity theft on somebody? Those are some of the things you got to look at. Now, at the same time, hold on just a second. And then while you're looking at it, if they're able to, if they're working under the table for somebody, is that employer going to go out there and actually hire you? And all y'all woke people out there that are actually trying to exert your will on the rest of us out there. I want my $15 an hour. Well, you know what? If you're paying someone under the table about $2, $3 an hour, or maybe $5 an hour, and they're getting away with it, why are they going to pay you $15 an hour for a job that's going to cost them more? And oh, by the way, they got to match your taxes. That's the one thing I hate by owning a business, because not only do I got to pay my employees, which I don't mind doing, and we got to withhold payroll taxes, but I got to match those taxes on the FICA side, okay? And then here in Texas, if you have to pay unemployment insurance, right? So you pay your unemployment up to the one every year. It's like, I explained this to one of my employees the other day, just so they would understand how taxes work. So you get hired, or January 1st comes, whichever comes first, okay? Everyone starts, I have to start paying their unemployment insurance, okay? Until they reach $9,000 in income. And at that time, their unemployment taxes stop, okay? They are fully funded for the rest of the year. So if your employees are making enough money where by March or April they've already made $9,000, you don't have to pay unemployment insurance for them anymore. They're fully funded. Or if you hire someone like July and they're still paying all the way up until November until they make up the $9,000, and then it stops on January 1st. It starts right back up again. Okay. So in essence, if you maintain the same number of employees over and over and over again, year in, year out, January is your heaviest year in unemployment tax because everybody starts over from scratch. Okay? Just so you know. The joys of owning a business sometimes, right? So So when you're talking about the living standards for Americans and illegal aliens, how are they living? If they're regulated down to making $5 an hour or $6 an hour under the table, how do you raise a family on that? Most of these Democrats are out there uh, chomping at the bit about they needed a living wage, but you're having someone come into the United States that doesn't have the legal authority to work. So they're not going to get a living wage because you can't enforce that on someone because they're working illegally. So their standard of living is down. They're poor, and they're going to probably try to apply for federal welfare, right? And then what about the Americans? If they can't get jobs that pay 12, 13, 14, 15, 20, $25 an hour because there's a illegal alien that are making the same type of money at as they did back in where they came from. So it was like, I'm happy and I know it. I'm making $8 an hour, but you're not thinking about the American that lost an $18 an hour job. How does he provide for his family? Now, does his wife have to go out and work? Or is she working? Now he's got to go find a job. And then who's raising the family? So now you have 1.6 million people that got apprehended at the border, right? And now they're expecting 400,000 people to cross in the month of October alone. Where are you going to put them? How are you going to take care of them? Medically and economically. You're not just going to put them all in Texas. And let me clue you on one other thing that came out in the news a couple of days ago. DHS changed the policy for the Customs Border Enforcement on who can be apprehended. Now they said that if you encounter an illegal alien or a group of illegal aliens, and they what do you call it? And they're not breaking a law besides crossing the border, which is the number one law they're breaking. But I digress. Okay, so back to subject matter. So Granny and her daughter and son-in-law and 15 kids cross the border, and they're coming to the United States and encounter Customs Border Enforcement. Now the rule is not to detain them unless they're actually committing a crime other than crossing the border, okay? So now these people cross our border and then they go into our cities. And then what do they do then? You have no record of who they are. You have no record of a court date for them. They're just going into the frontier of the United States, all along the southern border of Texas, because most of them are probably dirt poor. So how are they going to get out of Texas, or are they just going to stay here and they're going to flood us with illegal aliens and cripple our economic capability we have here in our state, even though we're better than most people as it is. Well, not better than people. Where we live at is better than most other people. Because as Texans, we take care of each other, regardless of what you think or not. And just so you know, I follow the pandemic cases and deaths every day, and I got a spreadsheet that goes back all the way to June last year. Okay, every single day I fill out my spreadsheet, right? And with all the lesson restrictions that everybody else is playing with here in Texas, we have made great strides in our battle without all the restrictions. And yeah, there are people here and there, like in the liberal bastions here in Texas, like, Austin, Harris County, and Dallas, and San Antonio, and El Paso, those type of areas. Okay. And they thumb their nose at the governor and Ken Paxton. I hope Ken Paxton actually goes out and files lawsuits, even though some people they'll renege on their agreement of like, hey, let's do a mask mandate, and Ken Paxton, oh, I'm going to sue you if you do, and then all of a sudden, oh, we'll go back to normal. Well, what he should have done is like sue them anyway. It's like someone commits a murder, police show up while he still got the gun, and he throws the gun down and says, "Oh, I threw the gun down, so I'm not going to do it no more. So don't arrest me." Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Okay? And I'm still fanning 400,000 people crossing our border. Where are they going to go? I know who's not going somewhere. Harris and Biden. And Joe Biden, it came out from Fox News this week. President Biden has never, ever, ever, as a private citizen, the vice president, House of Representatives, because I think he was a congressman for like 2 or 4 years, the VP, civilian Joe, or as the president, has never been to the U.S. southern border from San Ysidro all the way to Matamoros or Brownsville. He has never been on the border. And I don't care what Miss Peppermint Patty herself, what's her name, Jen Psaki says. What purpose does it? Well, he goes everywhere else. He goes to Delaware all the time. He goes to all over the United States every now and then. But why can't he go to the U.S. southern border? It's not like it's Afghanistan, because we got it all under control, right? Come on, man, we can do this. Yeah, sure, guy. Go take your Geritol, eat some ice cream, and take a nap. Okay. Let Ron Klein and Susan Rice and George Soros and Barack Obama run our government for us and tell everybody else what to do, and you just sign your papers. Sure. Maybe you just need a permanent vacation there in Delaware. Resign, let's go on with something else. But why won't they go to the border at all? They're afraid they're gonna see something. President Biden went somewhere the other day. Oh, it was the National Congressional Baseball Game. It was a big fundraiser they have. And he went out there and he got booed in the middle of a baseball stadium. Got booed. Okay? It's probably the Republicans and independents that were in the baseball stadium. It was the first time they've ever played a congressional baseball game at a professional baseball stadium. So, but why won't President go down there to the border? He should. He should. All he's doing is taking his 35 to 38% approval rating, and it's falling down. And it keeps going down. And no one's going to respect him for it. He's still got 2 years before midterms and 2 more years after that before next presidential election. Kamala Harris won't never be president, and neither will Joe Biden. He ain't going to run again. I'd still doubt if he even makes it that far. And so Harris may be president anyway. Okay? If she does, I hope she becomes president before the 2022 election, because then if she just happens to run for president and happens to get elected, she's only eligible to run for 1 term. Or she doesn't run for president and she tries it 4 years later. By Constitution, she's only allowed to run for 1 term because of the 25th Amendment. Read it. Learn. So how do we stop 400,000 people from coming into the United States? One thing we can do is continue to allow Governor Abbott to do the stuff he's been doing and reinforce the border with, I saw a picture of them running some cyclone fencing with razor wire on it. Man, if I was them, I would make it 5-strand deep razor wire. Okay, y'all saw what he did over at the 2 weeks ago at the International Bridge in Del Rio. Line that thing up with state trooper vehicles to keep the Haitians from coming over the river into the United States. Because if they see sirens going, they're not going to approach it because they're already illegal, right? We need to give as much latitude to Governor Abbott as possible. They need to be making arrests. They need to be confining these people, because when they can't pay their fine, they have to stay in jail. That's the way it goes. We're not doing too much of the country right now for this. It's so political in nature that anytime you try to raise immigration bill in the United States, both sides won't fight it, because, like I said in another podcast, is they don't want to make those command decisions because it'll be held against them in the next political campaign. Sometimes you have to live life like you're a lame duck and actually vote for what's right and take that hard vote. It happened to me. I thought at one time I voted for a really cool thing that I did reading on, and I made a bad vote, and I paid for it 2.5 years later when I ran for re-election. But that stuff happens to you, and you got to be ready to actually, you reap what you sow. And right now, we have an economic crisis brewing, because if they keep spending their money, we're not going to have any money to spend, because interest rates on our federal debt are going to go up. And then next thing you know, our interest payments on our debt alone are going to go over $1 trillion. And what are we going to do if we get attacked, or if Taiwan gets attacked, or Hong Kong gets attacked, or the Philippines get attacked, or South Korea gets attacked, the Ukraine, I can keep the Kurds, ISIS rebuilds, and we have to go back into Afghanistan, and we don't have the money because the debt is so high in interest that it sucks up all of our, discretionary funding, and we don't have the money without inadvertently raising the income tax rate to everyday Americans. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because it's so hard for people to live these days. You got to give them a chance. But we still got to provide for the common defense of our country, because that is in the Constitution. And if you don't have that means, you failed. And you failed as a country, and you should never allow something like that to happen. 400,000 people illegally coming into our country, and now we can't even arrest them on a federal level because of policy changes. Well, I know the DPS is someone they catch us someone they're illegal aliens. They're trespassing into the state of Texas, which we're gonna handle that. We should handle that. As long as we protect people's living standards and stuff, we don't. People got civil rights still. As long as we don't violate those rights, people will have. But if you're illegally here, you need to go home. A fraction of the people that are claiming amnesty is really coming here for amnesty. They're just looking for economic opportunities here in the United States. But you still, I'm about to do another podcast in a little while, and it dictates on our representatives. You still got to recall who we vote for, whether it be Republican or Democrat, what they stand for, what their leadership stands for. You got to you really, really, really got to get out there and tell people how you feel. And if the wrong people are representing you, challenge them. I don't care if it's city council, county commissioners, county judge, party chair of your county, your state representative, your Senate district representative, your lieutenant governor or land commissioner or attorney general, or even the governor or lieutenant governor. You have to hold them accountable so that they represent you adequately. And we're trying that. Even though Governor Abbott has a couple of primary opponents, there's no guarantee he's going to win the primary, because Huffines or West may bring a better product that people like better than what Governor Abbott's been doing, and I think he's doing pretty good. But who knows? I'm only one of about 20 million Republicans in our state. And I ain't going to tell you who I'm voting for. One of those, well, one of them I won't vote for is Huffines, okay? But it's a toss-up between the other two. But if we're going to keep these 400, we're going to... Okay, it's federal law that the president protects our borders. And if you're ever looking for a reason to do an impeachment on President Biden, this would be the one thing that he actually can get impeached for, because he's breaking federal law on the immigration issue. He is. But when the majority in the House is Democrat and a pseudo majority in the Senate is Democrat, an impeachment inquiry is going to go nowhere. That's how it goes. So in 2022, we need to get out there, bust this all up, and elect, who remembers what I said a few episodes back? How many Republicans are going to be in the House in the January of 2023? Between 275 and 300. That's my guess right now. Let's see if we can do it. Okay. So, hey, thanks for tuning in and watching our podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll catch you on the flip side. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. I'm out.